biggest hurdle most people have to whole food eating isn't the food.
No.
Fresh, homemade food, of course, is delicious. The issue is the bottom line. That line item on the budget, when you try to switch it all to cleaner, GMO-free food, you hit the checkout line for the first time, and you have a heart attack when the total comes up.
That's
Sigh.
right. So maybe you didn't even make it that far. Maybe you picked up the package of organic cereal, took one look at the tag on the shelf,
And ran screaming.
ran screaming. How do people afford to eat this way?
That's a
Well,
good
joining us now to talk about this whole discussion is our wellness expert, Kaylin Pearson, to talk about if it's more expensive or not, which
Yeah.
is we want to know.
Yeah, so this is a big idea that a lot of people have. In fact, there was the viral video a few years ago. It's getting real in the Whole Foods parking lot.
Oh,
The guy
yeah.
says, "I grabbed my 6 things from Whole Foods, spent my 80
And
bucks."
that was funny. But it's true.
Because exactly, I was like, anyone that shopped there, and I love Whole Foods,
Okay.
but shopping organic, it can be expensive.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, it's a little bit of perspective. And a lot of people have their only experience to whole food, organic, at Whole Foods, which I don't want to ding them or
Sure,
anything,
sure.
but they are known as Whole Paycheck and they live up to it.
Okay.
So that's where a lot of it comes with a reputation.
And you came up
It's
with
not
and-
the whole truth.
But I
Okay.
think this is great because we're actually talking about, if we look at it from the idea of inexpensive health care.
Yes.
That really is kind of the way that we need to think about this. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So take a step back and let's look at the big picture of long-term, vibrant living. It is making an investment in ourselves, in our bodies that we want to perform, we want to think clearly. You know, we've got to get sleep, we've got to feed our bodies so that we can, we talk about fueling the engine a lot.
Right,
And
right.
it really is like taking a step back and looking at that prevention and what you're going to do to invest into yourself long term.
Gotcha.
Okay. So
So-
when it comes down to it, do healthy choices cost more?
Well, I think it's about your perspective because I would argue that it doesn't. Because when you're actually eating real food, real whole food,
Yeah.
that you don't necessarily have to purchase at that specific grocery chain, it can be less expensive because food fuels your body. Where convenience processed food, we've talked a lot about this, is mostly devoid of nutrition. And so you just want more of it. And so you're creating an unhealthy body, an unhealthy environment that leads to illness and disease, where if you invest your money up front in real food, which doesn't always necessarily cost more. It's somewhat of a mindset, and I will also say priorities. We all have different priorities. Like, I'm going to spend money on things that you would be horrified of, or it's just not your thing.
Yes.
So now you've actually got some tips for
Got
us when
some
we're
tips.
doing this, because this is really what I need. I
Okay.
need some tips on it
Yeah.
because I think that I try my best to make sure that I'm eating, well and organic and non-GMO. However, it is easy to fall into the traps
Yeah.
of doing
And
it
it takes
because it's so
time.
prevalent. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the tips that you want to share
Okay,
with us?
so you got to plan and prepare
Okay.
because we all know when we don't prepare, we're going to go out to eat, we're going
Right.
to start eating junk food. And then
So
it's just
true.
a big cycle down. Buy local and in season. You're going to be getting the freshest food that your body needs for that season. There is something to be said about eating with the seasons and eating what Mother Nature provides for you
Okay.
now. You also can support your local growers
Right.
when we do that. Skip the prepared and convenience foods. And what I mean by that is, those lovely little trays at like big chain stores or Whole Foods with the cut up stuff?
Yeah.
They're 4 times the cost. Just by them cutting it up
Oh
and
my
putting
gosh.
Sure,
it
so
in
we're
those.
kind of paying for the labor to do that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Absolutely, and
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. Skip that. Skip the stuff that, like a rotisserie chicken. A lot of people buy those. If you bought one you can get a non-GMO organic chicken for about $6. That
Okay.
could feed your family, whereas, if you were to purchase one, I think they're about 10. And
Right.
again, it's little things like that that add up. Go meatless. Go meatless
Okay.
once a week, twice a week. And the money that you save, you could put towards, grass-fed, antibiotic-free, because again, what you're putting into your body is building your long-term future.
Right.
Fill your plate up with leafy greens and fiber-rich foods.
Okay.
Because it, you know, a lot of teenagers, I have a lot of friends with teenage boys, they eat a lot. But think about the kinds of foods that they're eating.
Yeah.
You know, it's just sort of this empty pit because they're not really eating anything to fill up their bodies with nutrition and fuel, so they never really get full.
Yeah.
But if, you know, you're eating high protein rich foods with lots of leafy greens, lots of vegetables, you're going to save money. And this is the big one. Eat
Okay.
breakfast at home.
Okay.
Hey,
That
you
I do try and do. That I try and do. Sometimes breakfast is provided for us here,
Which
even
is,
whether
you
we
know,
like it or
just
not.
a job perk.
Yeah.
But it's like people that, you know, if you are a coffee drinker and you go for coffee every morning, think
Right.
about what that adds up to just in a week.
And that's
Yeah.
a lot.
A lot.
It's a lot.
That's
And
a lot of
most
money.
people get a pastry or something. And I will tell you, that cycle right there leads you into a disaster of bad habits for the rest of the day, because you start out your day with gluten, sugar, and you're not getting the nutrition that your body
Yeah.
needs.
Fantastic.
So were they helpful?
Yes,
very
very
helpful.
much so.
Very
yes.
helpful. Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing these in.
Thank
This is
you.
a big talker, and I know very near and dear to a lot of people that want to eat
Absolutely.
healthy. So for a full recap, folks, head over to Cost.com and click on the Style tab. We'll see you next week.